Good afternoon, everyone. I have been given 30 minutes to manage this panel, which is titled Funding for the Future, Analyzing Inflation, Economically Advantageous Policies, and Volatile Markets in an Uncertain Global Economy. So just to set the tone, we know the theme of this summit is the future of global investments towards the next 50 years. I want us to have the same energy. Do we have the same energy? We came to download and upload data. So we must have that data. Can someone say I have data? It don't sound like you have data. Do you have data? It is common for our seniors, especially the honorable ministers, to upload data and not download because they only want what they want. So I want to find out if they have data. Honorable ministers, do you have data? Oh, okay. Let me introduce my panel real quick. The first one is Ambassador Dunstan Pereira, who I'm privileged to have on my panel. He's from the private office of the Sheikh. Please. The second one is Dr. Victor Abe, who just presented. Just to clarify, he's the CEO and managing partner of V5 Solutions Limited and FP Global Consult from the Republic of Ghana. So I have panelists from 4 countries. I'm the 5th one in the 5th country, so that's why we're here. Okay. The third one rather, is Honorable Samuel Masaki, my brother from the Republic of Kenya. Please, Honorable Masaki. I have Mr. Tafadzwa Musarara, the chairman of the Grain Millers Association of Zimbabwe. I don't need to mention the country anymore, it's Zimbabwe. Thank you very much. So as he walks up, the objective of this panel is to understand the role of leadership in the bid of economic recovery, where we're saying politics might dominate the headlines, but it's going to be policy that drives prosperity into the future. With the negative interest rates, we shouldn't say they are always negative, right? It depends on the transaction you're doing. So we hear from them. But with the negative interest rates and volatility top of the mind for many investors, there is still room and time for active leaders to adjust strategies to outperform their passive counterparts. This is the moment I wish my brother Dr. Hillary was here, because it's our food, trade and investment. And looking at Africa beyond the next 50 years is why we're here. So allow me to have the discussion. I'm not going to bother you too much. We'll manage the time within 30 minutes or less, and we'll give you the questions to ask the dynamic people we have here. Thank you. Right. Check if the other mics are working. No, mine is working. I'm just going to give each one of us a question, brief ones. Starting with my ambassador, what should investors look out for in leadership when looking at investing, and what makes the investments viable? If you can give us, following your experience from the UAE, who is hosting us. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. See, anybody who looks for investment, in any country, they first look at the leadership. UAE is a classic example where the country has been growing phenomenally well because of the excellent leadership. Now, when we talk about the leadership, the most important thing that any investor is looking at is stability. In the sense, if he is investing a certain amount of money in any country, how stable is that country for him to enhance his business and ensure that the return of investment is happening in a stipulated time frame. In UAE, the advantage what we have is the leadership is a monarchy. It's not a democratic like in other countries. So what happened is there is a consistency in terms of the regulations, the policies that is being implemented in this country, which everybody knows that it is not going to change. The policies or the regulations that is being implemented, it either improves further, it doesn't get reverted or reversed where it happens in a democratic country. Because it's not to be blamed on any leaders or leadership, because a democratic country functions like that. There is a limitation for the leaders to perform in those countries for about 4 years or 5 years. And once the leadership changes, definitely there's going to be an impact on the policies that has been implemented, which can or cannot impact the businesses. So people look for a consistent quality of performance in any country, and that depends on the leaders and the leadership that it prevails in that country. And today we have seen the leaders from many countries talking about those countries, and that gives a lot of confidence, because when they come and say, come, we are here to support you, we are here to give you all kind of thing, that is what an investor wants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next one is sensitive, is an excuse for most countries now, but let me just put it out. Investors are looking for a safe haven for their investments. It is then safe to say that investments need stability, all right? But with the current global crisis, as a result of factors mostly relating to the Russia-Ukraine conflicts, how with the current landscape affect investment? Please, Mr. Tafara, if you can take that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator, for asking me the most tough question. We sincerely hope and pray that peace will return in the Eastern Europe. However, the crisis that has happened, the geopolitics that is currently unfolding, has caused 3 challenges to the world, and which can be tapped into opportunities. The Ukraine-Russia conflict has caused three major shortages, 3 Fs: food, fuel, and fertilizer. And on food, I think you have seen that there's been inflation in major economies throughout the world. Fuel has gone up by nearly 60% since the beginning of this year, and fertilizer has also gone up 150%. These 3 major commodities has affected Africa the most, to the extent that there's been a spike in the commodity prices, viability challenges for farmers, and indeed Africa needs alternative or additional sources for these 3 Fs, which poses, again, is an opportunity for the UAE to come and invest in Africa. The future of African economic growth is agriculture and infrastructure development. Again, it provides an opportunity for UAE to come and invest in those areas. I will just give example of my country, Zimbabwe. Having faced the challenges as a result of the Ukraine-Russia wheat, we had nearly 57% of our bread wheat coming from Russia and Ukraine. The Second Republic, the current government, worked with the private sector to come up with a well-oiled fund agriculture program. And to date, since colonization, we have In fact, this year we have harvested the biggest wheat, which is more than 14 months requirement. We have been net importers of wheat. So from that crisis, we have seen an opportunity, and our government and private sector are working together on that one. We also have seen a lot of infrastructure development because the usual investors have shied away largely due to Corona and others. And that has been a result of an inward looking on what's supposed to happen. We feel that the ambassador have said it, he has put the conditions very well, that he has to proceed in foreign investment on the issues of governance, and the previous speakers have spoken. But we feel that Africa largely have seen peaceful and successive governments, transitions. Kenya is a good example, Malawi, DRC, and others. And I think Africa is now ripe for investment, and it should be the prime destination for investment. However, we feel that certain countries have been affected by certain international bilateral decisions that has been made on smaller economies. In our country, we are currently seized with economic sanctions that has been imposed on us, which are affecting business. And I hope this Africa Summit will actually add a voice to their removal so that we are at par and our engagement efforts are going to be enhanced. Thank you, Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. T. That's some good data, eh? I don't see the energy. I don't see the energy yet. Thank you. Honorable Masaki, how can every economy leverage human capital as a tool to find their future? Give us an experience from Kenya and your vision for the global investment beyond the next 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, moderator. My name is Honorable Masaki Samuel. I represent I sit in the advisory of the Office of the President in the country of Kenya. From our experience, because we are a new government and we have just transitioned almost 3 months ago, we have been able to focus our agenda with the people at the bottom of the pyramid. In terms of empowerment, we have come up with an economic model called bottom-up economic model. That was what we have been targeted, that we want to invest in the lowest groups of people within our country, the ones that do not have the capacity to earn a living, so that we can invest in them, so that we can be able to generate wealth. And I think this is in tandem to also what we're discussing here, that if the majority of the people, especially in the African countries, they live below the poverty line. If we as African countries and African leaders can get serious and invest with our people, invest in them, then we are going to generate wealth and grow the economy. But if we only wait to go to international forums and seek support, but we do not put this support to the needful use, then we are not going to grow our economy. We are not going to move above the poverty line. So I think it is one thing that I want majority of us, the investors who are here, to come to our country and invest in our country, because we have the opportunity, we have a government that supports the people, and we are looking forward to work with everyone, both in the diaspora and also in the African countries. And also something else that I want to just put forward is in terms of the growth of African countries. I think for the longest time we have had issues with the leadership and the transition. If we work together as African leaders, even the people in the diaspora and the youth, they can be able to come to our African countries and invest, because they have seen that we are working together and we are supporting one another. Those are some of the things that we can be able to move forward as African countries and develop and grow our economies. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Masaki. I think now we have an understanding of what we should look for as investors in leadership from the ambassador. We have also established that investors are looking for a safe haven. And we now know how some of the countries like Zimbabwe are tackling the Russia-Ukraine crisis. All right. Now, I think from our expert presenter, Dr. Abi, you want to tell us about financing. Financing is important, but adaptability is more crucial. What do you see as the role of financing in high-performing and adaptable teams in a complex environment? 5 minutes, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kayunda. I think before I come to the question, let me just add a little bit to what the ambassador and other panelists have said. With regards to expectations, I think in my presentation I spoke briefly about what investors expect in leaders. I just want to add that once again, let's all be reminded that integrity plays a critical role in what investors consider in investing in your business. So leaders must be conscious of their integrity at all times. You say what you believe in, you do what you say you will do, and especially you behave the same way if nobody is even watching you. So it's very critical because investors across the globe, international investors, look out for your behavior on and off the pitch. So you have to be on point at all times as leaders. Then the other, of course, politically, stability and all those things play a role. Then we talk about the issue of inflation and the Russian war. Obviously, it is across the globe. High inflation rate is across the globe, but how you play your game well at home also is critical to investors' decision in coming into your business or your country as well. Then, to my point, financing in high-performing teams vis-a-vis adaptability. Of course, we are in a very volatile space now across the globe. Like I said, velocity of change around us is very enormous. It's just top of a finger and things are changing. And so business decisions obviously must be backed by financing. But the financing must be pushed into good use while having in mind adaptability issue. How quick are you able to adapt to changes around you? So your preparedness to adapt to changes means that the financial resources available to you for use must be tailored towards the right things at all times. It is not just about having the finance available and you are using it anyhow. It must be tailored in a way that they provide answers to changing needs of your business. So by so doing, the high-performing teams are going to be encouraged more to do more. And so productivity will always be on the high side because anytime there's a need to change or adapt to or respond to the changes around the business or the world, your team knows very well that there are finances available and they will quickly think outside the box, especially if you have a learning organizational environment where people are innovative and creative. They are able to respond quickly, provided you are able to assess and make available the right finances. So financing is key in continuous performance of teams within businesses. Likewise, the political space as well, because whatever innovation we are thinking of, building capacity of the young people, driving investment across board and all that, managing that finance within the ever-changing or rapid-changing environment we find ourselves in plays a critical role in the continuous performance and productivity of teams at the workplace. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abi. I'm sure the clap of hands signifies the Africa we want. This is the Africa we want. I'm now going to give an opportunity for questions and answers from our diverse team of experts we have here. One of the ladies I was next to, she told me diversity is what makes good leaders. I agreed with it. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have a lady on our panel. She missed it. I think she didn't make it from Kenya. So, Honorable Masaki is fitting in two shoes. The diversity here is fitting not only gender issues, but also age issues. All right? We want more youths to be in the leadership positions. We want our older generation to be able to download what the younger generation wants for their future, so that we're able to manage our future. So with that said, I'll give 10 minutes to anyone who wants to ask the team here questions, including myself. Actually, my name is Simon Kaunda Jr. I'm an international trade and investment consultant, and I'm focusing more on Southern Africa. So you can also ask me questions, and I'll respond after moderation. Thank you very much. Anyone? Mike, and my time, eh? You can take my mic.
No, it's fine.
We're winning.
It's okay.
Okay, ready here, my brother.
All right, thank you so much, panelists. My question, just as this team is African Dubai Summit for Investment. Now, I want to know and ask the Honorable Minister, just as Dubai
Hey,
has been the hub for
can
real
you please
estate
come?
and whatnot,
Please get the mic.
and it's been like that for some time now. I'm looking as an investor to invest here in Dubai. What would you say for the next 5 to 10 years is the key thing or the big major thing here in Dubai to invest in?
Ambassador.
Thank you.
As you know, in Dubai, if you see, the rules has always been amended to be favorable for the investors. If you see, about 5 years back, for any investor to come and invest in this country, there has to be a joint venture company to be formed with a local sponsor. And the condition was that the local sponsor should hold 51% of the shares, and the investor who is coming on board will hold 49% of the shares. But today, as of now, the rule has changed, and today the investor can have 100% of the shares, which means he is the sole owner of the investment or the business that he is going to start here, and there is no involvement of any local sponsor or any local person in that. Second, if you see, there has been many rules that has been very conducive to the people. Like today, if you see, anybody who is investing 2 million and above in real estate or in any other businesses gets a golden visa, which enables him to stay in this country, become a resident for 10 years, which is renewable every 10 years. Whereas a normal person who is investing can get only for a period of about 3 years maximum. So, if you take like this, if you list down, the advantages are far, far more than the disadvantages. And that is all basically because of the consistent in the leadership is what I can vouch for.
All right, so besides real estate, what is the next big wave that Dubai is seeking investors in?
Second, see, Dubai, as you know, the key sectors that today we are looking at is One is real estate. Second is health sector, because after the pandemic, health sector has become very, very predominant. Sports is one thing which we are now focusing on. We are coming out with a lot of sports academies. In Russell Kema, we are coming out with one of the world-class sports academy to promote sports. And of course, as you know, tourism is something which is, which has been the bread and butter for Dubai, with people coming in. And today there is a huge shortage of hotels in Dubai. Though we have almost about 1.5 lakhs keys hotels, there's still a shortage. Still people are not getting rooms, or because of the shortage of rooms, the existing rooms are going on a very high price. So that is one area where we are now looking at expanding in terms of increasing the number of hotels available, because this is the hub today.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. I've actually learned something I didn't know. I've downloaded some data. Do we have any other questions? Anyone? Okay, so after my lady from, I think she's from the Republic of Zambia, South
Yes, I am.
Africa, and the United States.
No, I'm from the Republic of
Okay,
Zambia.
pick one, but I'll pick Zambia for now. Okay, and then after your question, we're gonna go to my madam from Zimbabwe, which is open for business. Thank you.
Okay, mine is not a question, but we spoke earlier about diversity, and I think you didn't touch much upon it. And I think it's a fundamental thing that we need to talk about as Africa-Dubai Investment Summit. And for the ambassador, Dubai is very big on leadership. And I think what Africa is lacking today is great leadership. So we are enforcing that Dubai should do a model that helps us, especially as part of the summit. You know, LWD needs to do something in terms of leadership, because in Africa, yes, we have the resources. We're a hub. We're open for investment just as much as Zimbabwe is across Africa. But one of the key things that we haven't done is implemented great leadership as Dubai has done. And Dubai has a track record of having exemplary leaders. Not only are you inclusive in how you do business and how you bring investors to the table, but it's a model that needs for us to go further. How do you think as Africans we can implement those models and get to a place not only where we're corruption free, but where we can see great leaders emerging from the youth? When I talk about diversity, I'm not talking about women empowerment only. I'm talking about an Africa that is inclusive, thinking about generational wealth building, bringing up women, boys, and girls, and teaching them the fundamentals of being great leaders. So as an Africa, can we wake up today and become great leaders and examples to the children that are coming? Because 50 years is legacy. 50 years is generational wealth. If Africa has to become Africa, it takes you and I implementing those roles, holding integrity and sustainability, and taking it back where we are coming from.
Thank you. The question has been directed to you, and then I'll give room for afterthoughts.
I don't think it was a question, but yeah, I think the world is watching UAE. The world is watching UAE, how we are implementing things in this country. And I think there is a lot of lesson that can be learned and picked up from that. Like, for example, corruption. See, UAE, if you see, we are moving ahead with a paperless office or a 100% online mechanism where anybody can come in and get things done on an online platform where the manual intervention is much lesser. And we embrace, or we take technology as an advantage and use their help in terms of implementing many of the policies that are happening in this country. And that eliminates manual intervention, and automatically the corruption goes down. So I think most of the countries should look into that kind of aspect, so that it not only simplifies the procedure but also reduces the manpower intervention. Only decision making kind of thing can happen on an online platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any afterthoughts from the...
All right. Thank you. If I may add my voice a bit. Yes, it is true that leadership on the continent of Africa has some issues that need to be addressed. But like I said earlier, I think that it boils down to not only about the leadership at the political level, but individual leadership as well. Because I believe that the leaders are as good as the followers. And the followers' behavior as well holds the leader accountable. In as much as the leader leads the way or shows the way, his decisions are basically informed by the attitude and the mindset of the followers. So what I call the mindset change has to do with not only what we have in Africa as schooling, literacy education, learning to read and write, acquire technical knowledge, and that is it. But we are not embracing education. Education is ability to apply that knowledge to practice. And that's what is education. Use your brains to innovate and to create things or to make things better. That, for me, if we are able to change the educational system that focuses currently on learning literacy or acquiring technical knowledge without allowing people to be educated, where they apply reasoning to everything they do, the generations after us will continue the same way. So we need to tackle the leadership challenges from the bottom, where we need to recalibrate the mindset of the people. The political leadership cannot do it all by themselves. The religious people, the traditional rulers, the professionals, everybody must come to the table to have a change mindset. You see, we talk about Dubai, the ambassador said it from his speech, leadership. Leadership is what drives it. But then, the citizens of Dubai has a certain posturing informed by the vision of the leader. So everybody knows where we're going. Everybody contributes to the table. It is not about just the leader, but we have been made to believe to a very large extent that the political leaders can change a lot of things. We, the individuals, also have to contribute. I made a statement elsewhere that you as an individual in your corner, how are you contributing to the betterment of the continent? That's a critical question we should ask ourselves at all times.
Thank you very
So
much.
that's critical. Thank you.
Thank you. You had a question. Don't grill us too much, please.
Thank you very much. Mine will probably be a comment. I would like to thank the panelists for the presentations and to say that as Africans, the vision of our continent, Agenda 2063, places a lot of emphasis on the role of private citizens in the development of the continent in as far as how they complement their governments. So I would like to say to us, I'm a big proponent of people-to-people diplomacy, which simply speaks to the fact that every citizen of their country must see themselves as an ambassador of that country. So I want to urge us to stop the blame game. If we are in a situation, let's see how we can get advantages and opportunities out of that, as we have done with the geopolitical problems in Eastern Europe. We must draw lessons even from the Russian Federation itself, because after being given all types of sanctions, the country still remained strong and continued to survive, and its people were not affected. And I want us to, as we get out of this house, to see how we can all contribute in our own countries, to see the vision which our leaders have given us and see how we as private citizens can fit into that. I want to also share with my sister from Zambia that, yes, I agree with you, there is need for to be in leadership, but I want to invite her to Zimbabwe to come and see how much the young people have been brought on board by the leader. Our president has a mantra of development which says leaving no one and no place behind. And in Zimbabwe over the past 12 months, there has been a big appetite for entrepreneurship. How do we change livelihoods of people? If people are in business, there's no poverty. That's how we achieve first the national vision of Zimbabwe and then the continental vision. So I want us, as we go back to Africa, to draw resilience from what these gentlemen were sharing with us and say that it doesn't matter what situation we find ourselves in, economically, politically, or whatever. How can I, as an individual, in my own locality, contribute to making things better instead of just complaining, because no one can give us the Africa that we want apart from ourselves. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I think there's the last question. I'm taking the last question because of time. We will have an opportunity for B2Bs.
Okay.
I'm going to have to take two more last questions.
Okay.
Please go ahead, my sister.
Okay.
Introduce yourself and where
Greetings,
you're from, please.
greetings from Azerbaijan. It's my first time to be in this summit, and also Azerbaijan is also interested in Africa countries to invest. You know that Azerbaijan is oil country, is a rich country, and we have many businesses and businessmen in Azerbaijan. And within the Ukraine and Russia war, there are many Azerbaijans and Russians businessmen are looking for countries where they can invest their money. And it's great for me to be the part of these investments because we have good relations. And now we are creating the Chamber of Commerce, Africa and Azerbaijan. It's registering in Azerbaijan, and after the registration, I would like you all invite to our Azerbaijan, see our country, and also do some trades. Okay. I'm also the resident of OIM. We have whole company here. It's about 10 years. But what's the problem with Africa? I have many requests for palm oil, for charcoal, for others. But I can't receive any specification, any certificate of analysis. It's a problem for each product. And also the financing. We want to do the payment, but we are afraid to do the payment because no any bank guarantees. You know that I don't want to say it, but you all know that now we have cybercrimes, and many of these cybercrimes is origin from Africa, from Nigeria. We are looking, yes, we are searching and analyzing and see that IP address is from Nigeria, and really it's very we are very afraid of this situation. It's a very big problem to the buyers or to the sellers to do some trades with Africa countries. And I want to know that maybe you have platform, reliable owners, partners, real companies registered, you have bank companies guarantee. Maybe you have a platform where I can find the buyers or the sellers, because so many scammers in this, in Alibaba, in like this, global buyers, many platforms, yes. And my question is, please, find me buyers and sellers from Africa, reliable and honest, because I want to import and import to Africa and export from Africa. I can do it, but I can't find, but I face it with these issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Because of time, if you may allow me, Honorable Masaki from Kenya, the biggest economy in East Africa. I think it's more than 100 billion. Can you tell the lady in regards to what she has asked and how you would foster business between, say, your country and Azerbaijan? I know this country, I actually just knew 4 days ago, and I'm interested to go in there. Honorable Masaki, please.
Just to respond to the question, I think we with what we have developed so far as a country is through the Business Council and also the business chambers of commerce. We are reaching out to different countries, especially in diaspora, on how we can be able to come up with interventions that can be able to create partnerships with the two countries. And that's what we have been able to do. In recent years, there have been a lot of challenges with the transaction or doing business, but as of today, we have reduced those risks. So through our Chamber of Commerce, we are reaching out to those countries, especially in Europe. Here in Dubai, we have, through the Chamber of Commerce, we are able to do intergovernmental relations and cooperation so that we can be able to reduce those risks. So it's about also the countries, African countries, coming up with those regulations that can be able to help even the diaspora countries to invest in Africa. It is through our East African community whereby we have been able to reduce, come up with agreements that can be able to enhance trade within the East African community. So if we are able to move forward as an African in general, we'll be able to advance and help African countries to do business together and also invite the diaspora countries to come and invest in African countries.
Thank you, Honorable Masaki. Mr. Tafaja, do you have any input?
Thank you very much. Good presentation from the lady from Azerbaijan. A story is told about one of the Europeans' biggest shoe company, which came to Africa, sent a salesman 200 years ago, and salesman went back and said, there's no market in Africa because people don't wear shoes. And they send another one. The second salesman says, there's a market in Africa because people don't wear shoes. So definitely Africa is a potential source market for you. And perhaps we need to change the structures of what we do. For instance, in Zimbabwe, we have got the tobacco industry. European countries that want tobacco have come and set a shop in Zimbabwe. They invest in the production of tobacco, buy it and export it to their home countries. So in your area of interest, which is the palm oil and others, perhaps you might want to look at companies from your country coming to fund the production of the same crops and export to your country to arrest the risk that you said you are currently facing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Because of time, I'll just give an afterthought, and we have a lot of time for networking. A quick comment from Dr. Abi.
All right, thank you, Kayunda. Mrs. Azerbaijan, I'll call you that. I just want to add my voice to all to say that you are at the right place. I think the men and women of integrity from Africa are here to do business. So one assurance you should get from all of us is that once you pass through the right channels and you are able to strike very strategic collaborations from here, you should be able to import and export to and from Africa. That is what I want to say. The men and women here, I can assure you, are men and women of integrity. And just strike the right button with strategic collaboration and your business is guaranteed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you can see there's a lot of things to talk about. I'm sure we'll have time. I've been asked to wrap up. Ambassador, you took up the shoulders of UAE. Please pass the message. The Africa we want is for the UAE government to also be coming to Africa. We want your sheikh to come for holiday in the warm heart of Malawi, see our fish, stay at our lodges.
Yeah, as I mentioned in my keynote address, it's Africa and UAE has a very cordial relation, and we are looking forward to support. In fact, we are working with many West African countries in terms of infrastructure development, be it the roads, the airports. So there is a lot more that Africa can deliver, and it is going to be the next continent that the world is watching. So let's make use of it.
Thank you very much, panelists. Please give a big hand for this great panel, and thank you very much.